The World from My Window. We are going live tonight with a very special lady who I know you all will be rather excited about. We're just waiting for her to join us. I'm really looking forward to this one. It's a very special one to be chatting with, especially after we kicked off Mental Health Awareness Week with such an amazing time. So here we go. Jade is just about to join us. Hi, babe.
Hi,
You look gorgeous.
you alright?
Yeah, good, mate.
I'm good. I can't hear you very well. Is that my phone or yours? Oh, no, I can hear you now.
Bed, got to turn it on, your little technology and all that. You got your bevy in? Got a little wine?
Yeah, I've got some cider.
Oh,
Yeah,
very good, very good. That's what we want on a Saturday night. Um, so, I mean, thank you so much for joining us. This means so much. And obviously, it's been quite a mental week. I mean, I'm going to blame you for that one because you crashed our website at the start of the week when we released your story, which is amazing. We had something like 27,000 hits in 15 seconds once you posted.
oh God, bloody hell.
I know, madness, but it was really, really great. How's your lockdown been? Like, obviously we got a little insight into it with your story, but how has it been?
Yeah, not too bad, you know. I think I've been very lucky to being like stuck indoors with two friends. That's
Yeah,
definitely
of course.
not being alone. But you know what? I've been so busy with work. The first couple of weeks was like almost quite exciting because we had the new campaign and stuff to
Yeah.
do a breakup song. And then as the weeks went on, yeah, I started getting itchy feet and then had a few like dips along the way. But no, I'm feeling really good at the minute actually. I
I
think it
think
might,
that's the weird thing with lockdown. Every day like feels really different, and some days you have a real low, and then the next, unexplainably, you're really high, and
yeah,
it's brought out every emotion in me. I think.
absolutely, yeah. We've all three of us have had those days where we felt a bit poo. And yeah, nothing's really helped. Like if one
No,
of
I know exactly.
it's like, oh, you know, we'll just leave them to it. If they want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. If not, just let them be. So yeah, we've all sort of been there, but yeah, very lucky to be getting through it together.
And obviously, we've been talking. We set up this project, well, from my window, as a starting point to try and give people a voice, I guess, because
Yeah,
when you're in those situations, I mean, I've had so many emotions going on in my head, and what I found and kind of stumbled upon is by writing some of that down, it really helped me process an order to find some sense to them. And I
yeah,
guess that's why we started. We just thought, you know what, there might be a few people that want to join that and just
yeah.
join the community, and obviously it snowballed into something quite special. What was it that when we started talking and you noticed the project, did you feel the same or?
Yeah, 100%. I think personally for me, I really struggle to like speak about how I'm feeling. Like all my family and friends say that I'm quite like a tough nut to crack. Like, yeah, I really struggle to, I guess, articulate like if I'm in a bad place or if I'm feeling a certain type of way. But the way that I do manage to express how I'm feeling is through writing.
Yeah.
Um, Especially through like poetry. So when I saw your project, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, you know, for someone like me, this is perfect. And obviously, as well, it's just, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful campaign, I think, to let people know that they're not alone and we're all in this together. And I think writing is like an amazing way to, yeah, to bring everyone together.
We've definitely been overwhelmed by the response, and there obviously clearly is a need for that, which is just so amazing. But I think we also, as much as it is about writing, it's also about people reading them. Like, people are getting, even if you feel like you haven't got the kind of words or whatever just there, just by actually connecting and reading some other people's stories, you realize that it is okay to feel however you're feeling. And
Yeah,
there's a lot of positive stories on there as well. Like, it's not like, I don't think lockdown has just been negative. Like, there's been
no,
amazing things that have come out of it,
I,
which has been so special.
yeah, no, I think it's incredible. And, you know, I was reading the stories on Will from a Window, and um, yeah, that was the moment where I was like, actually, I do really want to do this because I was reading other people's stories and being like, oh, I relate to that. You know, that's how I'm feeling. So when you messaged and asked if I wanted to have a crack at it, I was like, yeah, I think I might actually.
But the thing, and but what is obviously so amazing, I think, for people to see is how honest you were. I think, you know, I really was never expecting you to open up that much. And I think for someone of your standing with your following to kind of show people that it's okay to talk about it and it's okay to share
Yeah.
those honest emotions, like, was so overwhelming for people.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I do really struggle to do that. And I mean, you'll know you were messaging us for weeks to be like, have you done the story yet? And I just kept like awkwardly putting it off because I'm like really anxious about it because I'm not the type of person to yeah be so open and honest about how I'm feeling. So yeah, it took a lot for us to get to a point to just fucking do it. And once I did, I felt a lot better for it. So yeah, thanks for that.
And did you feel like it once you started to actually do it? Because we're all procrastinators. We all don't want to actually do something. But when you actually just finally get that first sentence out, I found it just starts to flow, and then
Yeah.
it's becoming. And as long as you kind of forget, like, you don't have to worry about it being the best thing
Mm-mm.
ever. It doesn't have to be like Shakespeare. It just needs to be honest.
And I told you that I'm such a perfectionist
Yeah.
and an overthinker. Sometimes I worry myself so much about writing something that I either end up don't writing it out of fear of it being crap, or I spend so much time trying to perfect it that I sort of
Yeah.
lose
Of course.
of just what it was originally meant to be. So I think with the poem that I did, I was inspired by someone else as well, a friend who does a lot of writing also, and sort of encouraged me to have that freedom to just stop overthinking it and just sit and write exactly how I was feeling. And you as well, when you said, "Come on, like just do it."
Well, I think what was amazing about it is it just felt like an outpouring of your head, and it didn't like it kind of showed to me actually that, you know, because when I wrote one, and I was really worried about structure, and I was really worried about just I got myself so wound up by the formalities of writing
Yeah,
something, and then actually just by getting it all out, and I mean, and you just captured every single emotion that was in your head that summed up lockdown, and it
yeah.
felt like a vomit. It was just like, oh my god, I can't stop coming. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I did though. Like, especially when you message, you're like, Jade, like, just literally do what we're telling you to do. Like, look out of your window and just write. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So that's what I did. I literally sat in bed, looked out the window, and just went bleh, and just literally like word vomited everything I was feeling. Didn't worry about like the rhyming scheme or the structure of the poem, and just wrote it and worried about that later. And then obviously sent it to you to help out a little bit, take out some of the more vulgar.
Yeah, but I'd like to say you were like, oh, you're gonna hate this, and you'll probably want to change it because that's just you, isn't it? You don't
Yeah,
you're worried about putting yourself on the line. And I
yeah.
read it, and I was like, they literally there was, I think I just suggested taking out one of the swear words, but I was like, I don't think you need that one. But other than that, like, it was just the most perfect piece, and it totally blew me away.
Thank you.
And obviously it's blown everyone else away as well. I think it's had an amazing reaction.
Thank you. I know I couldn't believe it, to be honest. And yeah, before you posted it, I was literally, I'm not gonna lie, I was literally shitting myself.
Well, this is it. I was going to ask, how did you feel? Because I remember you texting me after we posted it, being like, "I feel like I've like sent a nude to the world." Like,
And
and then I was like, "Just write that. That's so true."
I think as well for me, like I do whenever I'm struggling or yeah, with my mental health, I do mask it a lot with like comedy. And
Yeah,
I've
of course.
I was younger. I think it's like a mechanism that I've used to help us cope, like especially like being a teenager, if I was like bullied in school and stuff. I felt like by getting the joke out first,
Yeah.
um, nobody else could do it to us. Do you know what I mean? So it was really, yeah, I was really putting myself out there to write a poem that didn't have any like, well, I guess not any funny bits, and was just so open and honest and really said it how it was. But yeah, it was literally like putting a nude out to the world. And literally when I opened it and saw you'd posted it, my hands were like, oh, I was proper shaking.
Oh, babe.
I was. And then once I saw the reaction, you messaged saying, "Hun, you've crashed the site." I thought, what? Like, this is crazy. And yeah, it felt amazing. And do you know what as well? Like, I don't ever share stuff like that with my family and friends. And before you posted it, I was doing like a Zoom quiz with me friends from home and with Holly and Zach. And I was like, oh, I'm putting a poem up later. And they were like, oh, read it out, read it out. And I literally felt like I was back at school again. I was like, oh God, this is so embarrassing. And then I read it out and Holly started crying. And I was like,
I'm surprised.
yeah, I was so shocked, and she was like, that's literally how I'm feeling. Like, you've got to put it out there, you've got to do it. So I did, and then after it got put up, I had so many messages from friends, and my family, like people that I talked to, but not very often. Like in the family group chat, my auntie messaged, and she was like, everyone needs to read this, and uh,
Totally agree.
yeah, it was just like, whoa, like I'd never really experienced that before, where people have, I guess, resonated with something that I've written so much.
But then the funny thing is, like, you're writing all the time. You write music and write
Yeah,
lyrics, and like, I mean, Wasabi is just like my favorite banger. Uh, I just literally can't get enough of it. But when you think about that, that is absolutely still putting yourself on the line. But it feels
yeah,
different when it's got music and it's got, we put all this production around it, and you're pop star, you're Jade with the makeup on, the
yeah.
amazing costume, the dance routine. But then I don't know, this felt like you stripped all that away and there was nothing to hide behind, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think I really thrive like in songwriting. Like Wasabi is so sassy and like packs a punch, and I'm so used to writing music that's like empowering or in your face and like I don't care what you think sort of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas with this poem, it was a lot more vulnerable,
Thing.
which like isn't what I'm used to. And I guess with music, it's a bit more restricting in that you have to stick to like putting the
The
right amount of
structure.
words,
Yeah.
making the chorus catchy. Whereas I feel like with poetry, you have a lot more freedom to like truly express how you feel, and it doesn't matter how long it is or if it rhymes or not. So yeah, I feel a bit more freedom when I do poems, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of
I,
poems.
I mean, I like literally your talents never. I mean, like the fact that you posted all those drawings that you did today, like, I mean, they're incredible. Like, literally, your talents never cease to amaze me. It's an amazing thing. I mean, so do you think you'll keep on writing? Then you'll like write more poetry. Obviously, you were doing it already, but finding that honest self.
Yeah, I was doing it already, but I just guess I was never brave enough to show the world it up until now. It's always just either been on my notes on my phone or it's been written in my diary or journal.
I was
And
going to ask, like, do you actually, how do you capture that? Like, is it about the pen and paper thing? Because I write in my notes, like you just said. Is it like wherever you can get anything?
yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm such a nana with like computer. I sent you the document. I was like, help us! I don't know how to type it up.
And then you sent it back and it was suddenly on Google Docs. And I was like, babe, how did you do this? You're like, I don't know, it happened.
How it happened. Yeah, I much prefer like having a pen and paper and just writing down with my own handwriting how I'm feeling. But I've got into the notes thing a lot more recently, because usually like when I get into bed, I mean I find it really hard to sleep anyways, which I've said in the poem. So when I'm in bed and I'm like my mind's ticking over, that's usually when like my creativity like comes to us, and that's when I have to write it down there and then, or I'll forget like what the idea was. So yeah, usually like in the middle of the night I'll be sitting on my phone like like thinking of all these things, and then I finish them like the next day, or I'll finish them that night. So that's how I usually work.
And so obviously, it's Mental Health Awareness Week. And, this last year, especially, did you feel like with Jesse's documentary when that came out, did you feel like, I felt like a massive shift of like
Yeah.
awareness at that point? Did you feel the same?
Oh, 100%. I still think Jesse doesn't even realize like how
No.
influential
Yeah.
that documentary was. Like, it was so powerful, and obviously we were there, like we lived it with them. We saw, what she experienced, and even for me watching it, I was shocked. And I remember we watched it at production rehearsals. You guys were there for the tour, and that was when it first aired on the telly. And I just knew watching it that like that was a moment, like a
Absolutely.
moment for not just for her but for so many other people. And also I like to think a moment for those that were guilty of, being trolls or saying awful things on social media. Like, I like to think that, people watched that and thought, actually, do you know what? We're all human, and just because we're pop stars, I guess, like we're not invincible. And I think that's another thing for us girls in general. I feel like it took a long time for all of us to speak out about our mental health, because there's like an element of feeling like we shouldn't be entitled to talk about it as much, because I guess people may think that we have like the perfect life, or we're not entitled to have a bad day sort of thing. Whereas really mental health, doesn't doesn't stop.
It doesn't discriminate
Yeah,
between any
literally.
race, social class, job, anything.
Which when you have nothing, like, so I think it's took a while for us all to remember that and be so open. Obviously Perry spoke out, Leanne's starting to speak out a lot more as well, and I feel like the more we're doing that, the more this like weight that we've carried over the years is just like being lifted off our shoulders, and the response, especially like from our fans, is amazing. And I think for me, you know, I've touched on, you know, what I've been through in our books or like through the poem and stuff, but it's only kind of recently that I've started to do that. And I think there's power in all four of us speaking out, because
100%.
that it is so common. It doesn't just happen to, you know, one person every now and again. It's so common. It happens to so many people. So I like to think that that makes the fans feel like they're not as alone if they're feeling it too.
I mean, you're making a massive difference, 100%. And obviously, Jessie did, you know, I mean, all of you have. And I think your sharing of this poem and being able to, I think the one thing about words and stories are people can reread them as much as they want, you know, when it's captured in a way, it can just be, you know, quoted, it can be used for those moments. And I think it's just so heartfelt. It's just incredible.
Thank you. You make me blush.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're so lucky. We feel so privileged that you chose to share it with us, because obviously it's made such a big difference to an idea that was just two lads that were friends at school just thought we'd do something because it was lockdown and we didn't. You know, I think the other thing I guess I was going to ask you about, but I overnight, you know, we all lost. We all do shows. We all put on shows for a living. And overnight that went away. Like, you know, we don't know when we're going to be able to perform to 20,000 people at the O2 again. Like, that's all changed. So that's how I expressed my creativity. So part of me finding writing again was a way of like trying to like fill that gap, I guess, that we all need, because it builds up in you, doesn't it? And you just want to get it out.
100%. Yeah. I think for us, like, our release is usually to be on stage, and it doesn't matter, you know, if I'm feeling awful or if I'm having a down day. Like, for me, being on stage is the one place where I automatically feel better. And, you know, we don't have that anymore. And like you guys, I think anyone in the sort of creative industry and music industry is kind of struggling right now. Yeah.
I suppose you've got the ability, though, even though you're not performing, to keep writing, whether that be songs or poetry or whatever. But you can still keep making music, which is obviously an amazing release as well.
But it hasn't been up until now. Like, I want to say as well, I'm so grateful to you for asking us to do it and pushing it, because I very nearly didn't, and you had to keep hounding us to get it done. And honestly, the minute that I've done that, like you say, you saw my artwork today, like something's just happened, like something's just switched in my head where like my brain's starting to think more creatively again, and I'm feeling a lot happier for it. Whether it's like, yeah, showing people
Amazing.
artwork from years ago. For the first time, I've done my first writing session during lockdown off the back of doing the poem, just because I feel like I didn't have the confidence to do it, and I was sort of stuck in a rut of feeling really unmotivated to really.
Oh, you're frozen. Oh, there you're back.
Oh, have I lost
Yeah.
it?
No, I think you're back now. You're all good. That's I mean, what an honor, and that's amazing to hear you say that. I definitely feel the same, and you know, yeah, it's felt good to realize that there is clearly a need for the world from my window, and we thought this might be something that we would do for a couple of weeks during lockdown, but we're starting to realize that actually I don't think it needs to end when lockdown does. And I think actually, as we all as a world go back to this, you know, the new term of the new normal, and we kind of step back out into society, it's going to be a weird thing. It's definitely feels like there's been a seismic shift, and things are different now, and we're all going to have to deal with that in our heads as we go back. And you know, whether it's getting on a busy train and suddenly you're thinking, well, I can't do the 2 meter rule, and that fear, or you know, the positive stuff as well. Like now I feel I've met my neighbors for the first time, and I know, you know, I've connected with my family, and again I've just shared things, and it's you know, it's definitely a new world that we all need to navigate together. And I think by us all coming together as a community and expressing that through words helps you really work it through in your head.
You've got to keep doing it. It's so
if you got to write us another poem, we'll keep going, and we'll just.
All right, I promise I will. I promise.
Don't worry, I'll hound you for about 2 months, and eventually one will pop out.
Please do. All my family and friends are like, well, when are you going to write one about us then? my mates are like, "Written." So all right, I'll have a think. So yeah, got to keep doing it. I've seen so many other like the fans as well putting poems up all the
Oh, I
time
know,
now.
it's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
incredible.
mean, it is incredible. And what do you do? Obviously, there are going to be people out there that just feel a bit nervous about it, and maybe they can't find the inspiration. Like maybe they don't want to write about the anxiety of lockdown or whatever. Where do you find? First of all, what do you do when you've got writer's block? Because I think we all that anxiety of starting something is real for everyone. So
Yeah.
what do you do with that? Like, how do you get around that?
I get it all the time, to be honest, whether it's
Yeah,
writing poetry or like in writing sessions. And actually, do you know what? For me, I used to really punish myself for getting writer's block and thinking that that meant that I wasn't good at what I was doing. And actually, it was a friend of mine called Sam Romans, who's a massive songwriter. He's an incredible genius songwriter. Um, and I was in a session with him one time, and we've written like a few amazing songs together. And this one session, I was so shit. I literally couldn't think of any ideas. And then I text Sam, and I was like, "Here," I was like, "Am I a really crap writer?" I was like, because honestly, I didn't contribute anything in that session. And if you give us like 0.1%, I'll be happy with that credit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was like, make myself feel so bad. And then Sam was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "I literally have days where I feel like I'm the worst writer in the world, and the next day I'll write one of the best songs I've ever written." He was like, why are you giving yourself such a hard time?" And for me, I sort of never forgot that, because he's like someone that I really look up to.
yeah.
And if someone like that can feel the same way as I can, then do you know what? I'm good. Like,
Well, and everyone's human. That's the reality, and
yeah,
everyone does have ups and downs, and it's fine. You
yeah,
know.
100%. So I think it's just remembering not to, yeah, give yourself a hard time and punish yourself, which is kind of what I got in a sort of stuck in a rut with doing over the past few weeks. And every time you messaged me, I had an excuse like, "Oh, sorry, I'm filming at the minute, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that," instead of just, yeah, facing my fears and believing in myself a bit more. Um, yeah,
And like obviously one of the we chose that line about the social influencers together as the kind of quote that we wanted to put out there to begin with. And
see.
that, I mean, we all felt nervous about that. You definitely you were like, oh my god, I'm
All
gonna
gonna
get this is gonna be the worst thing.
all these social influencers will be like on the attack.
But like that's a real thing, right? Like we like social media me like it's hard because we all have to it feels like there's a pressure to portray your best version of yourself, or not the best version, because the best version is the honest version obviously, but actually this kind of version that the world you think your version of what you think the world wants to see of you, and you know, and what gets you the most likes and what gets you all that stuff. So I mean, like, do you agree? I mean, do you agree? How did you? I mean, like taking that mask away must have been a toughie.
Yeah, massively. I mean, I've been guilty of it. We've all been guilty of it, of having this sort of facade on social media, and showing the world how perfect we are, and that there's no bad days. When in reality, it's far from the truth. Like, and I do wish that this whole sort of social media, social influencer culture would do more of that and show their more vulnerable side, or show, I don't know, them not wear makeup one day and stuff in their face
Yeah,
or something, and just being more real, because it is very damaging, I think, for especially young women and young men to look on social media and compare themselves to this, insane, like, non-reality of what you should look like or how you should feel. So I think I've definitely been guilty of it myself, and I've had to learn to, yeah, be more honest and open on social media, and yeah, show especially our fans that we're not always hunky dory. Hunky dory. Who says that anymore?
you do.
Hunky dory. There you go.
But part of that is I think we should talk about the stigma of mental health, because there is, even though people people like yourself and Jesse, and even as far as Prince William and Kate, they're talking about it, and everyone is doing their best to take that stigma away. There
Yeah.
is still this like moment where when people talk about mental health, there is like the stigma of, well, they must be a bit broken, and I don't think it is. I think we're all going through it. That's the reality of it.
Of course. And there's beauty in being broken. There's nothing wrong with having struggles in your life, or, you know, feeling like you can't cope sometimes, you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong in that. If anything, it adds character to who you are and who
100%.
you are. And I think for me, like, I used to be so ashamed of like talking about my mental health in the past, and it's just so silly, really, because yeah, it's made me who I am today, and I couldn't be prouder of myself now. And I look back and think, oh, do you know what? I went through a really tough time then, and I got through it, and that's incredible. You know, I think we should celebrate our brokenness a bit more instead of making it a
Literally.
negative. Yeah,
And I think, like you say, it adds character. It's real. That's the beauty of
yeah,
it, and that's what makes it beautiful. And you know, someone I saw today a meme, and it was a perfectly like crisp £20 note and one that's been scrumpled up, and it just said underneath, does the damaged version of this £20 note make it worth anything less? And it was like, no, it's still the same value, and that's the reality with humans as well. If you've been through the mill, you're still as valuable as anyone that people think is perfect.
100%, 100%. And I love hearing other people's life stories. Like when I meet someone and they tell me about the things they've been through, I just sit there and I'm like, wow, like that's incredible. I don't want to sit and, you know, hear how you've had this perfect life. And I mean, props to you if you have, but I don't know anybody that actually has.
No, exactly. No, exactly. No, and I think the other thing for me with the idea of writing your feelings down is sometimes it's just hard to verbalize stuff. Like it's hard to sit your family down and say, do you know what? I've, I've done this, or I'm feeling this, or whatever. But actually, you can write, and you're just writing to yourself. And one of the things that we've done on the website is got this character called Yuri, who we suggest people write their story to, because then it becomes a letter. It's like a starting point of something to just hang your coat on and just start that flow. And I think when you write these things down, it's really easy to pass. If you've got something to tell someone, write the words down, pass the piece of paper across the table, and you don't even have to say anything.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's that idea of sort of talking to a stranger as well. Um, I know that I've found it easier if I've had therapy or whatever, talk to someone that I don't necessarily know, as opposed to like trying to talk my mum about it, bless her. And I think, yeah, the minute I write something down, like my mum messages after the poem as well, and was like, it was so beautiful being able to see you express yourself in that way, because I'm notorious for not being able to. And I've had like relationships in the past like break down because I just can't, yeah, talk about how I'm really or truly feeling. So yeah, being able to address that to this imaginary character, this Yuri, is a lot easier for me, and I'm guessing a lot of other people too.
And obviously, you've done amazing things for the LGBTQ community, and I'm part of that, and I felt every single step of that along the way with you, and it's been incredible. And I can't wait to see your new show, talking to all these amazing drag queens. How has it been filming that?
Oh, it's just been a laugh, you know. You know what's so funny is it's been pitched as this cooking show, and I'm
I know you can't cook, can you?
terrible. You know what? MTV messaged Adam Gooder, who I'm doing the show with Richard, and they're like, "Does Jade want to go on this morning and do the cooking segment?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "I don't think you've realised that this has gone horribly wrong every week as I've tried talking to these at the same time. It's been an absolute shit show, but really funny." And yeah, the idea just came from, yeah, being in lockdown, trying to think of something, especially for the fans, to like keep them entertained. And you know me, like I love drag culture and I love attempting to cook. I enjoy doing it, whether it's good or not. Just having a little bevy and yeah, just having a laugh. And also as well for me, I've really struggled not being able to see my mum. My mum's in self-isolation. She's got lupus, so she's really high risk, and I've been trying to find ways to like speak to her every day and keep her entertained. So she's involved in the show as well,
Brilliant.
which is a first. Norma the icon, so she's the judge every week of who made the best dinner. So yeah, it's been really lovely actually.
But the funny thing about, like, if you watch Drag Race, because I know we both love that, a drag queen is a really good example of someone that puts on the biggest face, the biggest load of makeup, the biggest outfit, and when they go on stage, they are so much larger than life. They are genuinely wearing a character.
Mm-hmm.
But they're actually the best bit for me. I mean, I love when you know, you go back to the dressing room in RuPaul and you see those emotional stories, and they talk about the fact that they haven't been able to connect with a family member, or they've had an issue go on. And I think having that kind of duality of showing this big character and then taking that away and showing the vulnerability, and it's exactly what you're talking about. It's the same thing, but just in a different way.
Oh, it's so incredible. And I think that's one of the reasons why I admire drag queens so much and take a lot of inspiration from them, because, you know, I am, and definitely in the past, was so shy, like painfully shy. And it wasn't until I got on stage that I sort of had this newfound confidence. And when I watched Drag Race especially, I was like, oh, this is incredible. And went straight to Heidi and was like, I want more glitter. I want more contour. Get me on that stage in a full glitter costume. And it helps. It honestly helps. Like, you know me, I love all that. I love looking as sparkly and fabulous as possible when I'm on stage. So it is that idea of turning into this character, or this, you know, larger than life version of yourself. And it's so interesting. Like, Vivian was on the show, the MTV show that I'm doing at the minute. And you know what the Vivian's like? So funny, like hilarious. And then she said, like, when she's out of drag, she's actually very, very nervous and shy. And I was so surprised to hear that, because, and to be fair, I've never really seen him out of drag that much. I've always sort of seen him in drag. So it was interesting to know that.
Oh, you're back. Sorry.
Have I
You
gone?
froze for a sec.
I'm
No,
back.
you're good. Yeah, it might have been me. So finish that sentence for me. So Vivian was.
Yeah, just saying how shy they are in real life. So yeah, it's interesting to see that even these characters who are so larger than life and ballsy and bullshit, underneath it all, you know, there's just this shy, lovely man.
No, indeed. It's incredible. Well, we're really looking forward to seeing it. So I'm gonna wrap. I think if there's anything else you want to say, go for it. But I mean, it's been incredible hearing about your writing process. So grateful that you chose to bear your true self with that poem for us, and everyone appreciates it so much. So we've got so much thanks for you.
Of course, thank you so much for asking. It really helps us in.
Thanks for crashing the website as well.
Sorry, actually, do you know what? I'm not sorry. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry. It gave Rob, our IT guy, the most nervous night ever trying to make it all work.
Bless him. I know I kept messaging like, it'll be up in the next half hour, up in the next.
I know, and I was like, Rob, it's gonna be up, right? It's gonna be work.
I was panicked. I was thinking, if I've actually brought this website and ruined the whole thing, I was like, fuck.
Well, do you know what? It's all worth it, because those words are so powerful. And, you know, we're obviously going to be around for a while now. And so we look forward to more honest words from you, Jade.
And a bevy soon as well.
Definitely. Can't wait for this bloody lockdown to be lifted. But cheers to you, hun, because we really appreciate everything.
Love you lots.
Love you too. And see you very soon.
Bye.
Thanks, gorgeous. Bye. Bye-bye.